Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Rita podcast where I ask very, very smart people gotcha questions and try to trick them into embarrassing themselves on LinkedIn. I am really, really excited to have Zach from Criquet Church today. Zach has an incredible background. We'll obviously jump in. For those who don't know me, I'm Aaron. I'm one of the co-founders of Arita. We build AI customer segments for a bunch of brands, including Criquet Church. We might spend another minute talking about Arita at some point, and we might not, because Zach is just a phenomenal, he understands customer behavior, CRM, tooling, as well as anybody. And so I want to spend as much time as possible teasing out insights from Zach. I actually don't know how to pronounce your name. I'll go Scheimer, Mr. Scheimer.
You got it.
Nailed it. All right. Mr. Scheimer, take it away. We'd love for you to give a proper intro to yourself.
That's honestly a very good start to part of my background. I have been doing stand-up comedy for about 8 years, and at an open mic recently, we've decided that people need to sign up only phonetically with their names because no one gets anyone's last name right at anything stand-up related ever. And so I think instead of teaching people cursive at a young age, we need to start teaching people phonetic spelling so everyone just gets each other's names right. I would stick with it rhymes.
Talking to a friend about early childhood education, and actually in terms of how we've been teaching reading, it turns out phonetics matters, and we've been doing it wrong for a while. So there it is.
Life imitates art sometimes. Like, I genuinely think my approach to stand-up is a business approach, which is really strange, but I can get into some of that later. I think my background in email and retention marketing is a lot different than so many people. I was a sport management and management information systems major in college. So I wanted to be doing analytics in a professional scouting department for a pro team. I ended up starting my career as a professional mascot for 2 years in the NFL. So slightly different than analytics in the scouting department. But I think that's a job that everyone still calls out on my resume. It's something that I still love talking about. And so it was a great way to start and sort of get my feet after college. And from there, I went into email sort of accidentally. I worked in the email department, but was sort of the technical lead. So I was building HTML templates. It was in Salesforce Marketing Cloud at the time. So I was the one driving our personalization through AmpScript, their coding language for personalization, building different journeys for customers. So I was really the technical person, which is what led me to the job. And so as my career has gone on, I've sort of stayed in that technical part of email world. And I think it's given me a lot different perspective to retention and email as a whole, just from that sort of more technical and data-driven background.
Let's actually stay on that for a minute, and we will definitely come back to the Steelers. As somebody who grew up in Cleveland, it actually took a while for me to consider scheduling you, given what I assume your childhood was like. Pittsburgh is a better city, and I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. It's pretty great.
It's a time where I've lived in Cleveland too. Like, I feel like Pittsburgh is just 10 years ahead of Cleveland. Like, I think the cities are so similar, and it's so funny that, like, so I went to school in Ohio as well, and I would meet people and they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm like, "Pittsburgh." They're like, "Oh, I hate you." It's like, "No, you hate the professional sports team in the city I'm from. You don't know me. Yeah, you might hate me in 5 minutes, but you hate the team, not me." And that rivalry is so funny because, like, I love Cleveland. I've visited friends there. I've lived there. Like, I really enjoy going to Cleveland, but that rivalry makes it like such a unique thing between people from both cities because it's just such a fun thing to banter about. It's what sports brings, is that camaraderie. Even when you're arguing about it, it's this camaraderie thing, and it's what's always made me love sports, is that part of it.
Most importantly is Michigan is the worst. So we're aligned, which is great. Okay, cool.
We're not, but it's okay.
Zach, I'm trying to find common ground here. All right.
Can I ask you a question off of that?
Yeah.
Is it odd to you that some people think that pronouncing the word "the" pretentiously is like a cool thing?
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, I live in the Bay Area and I went to Berkeley for my MBA, and everybody who calls Stanford the graduate school of business, I want to, I frown at.
That's the thing. It's I know it's across multiple things. It's not just Ohio State. Like,
oh, I didn't realize you were referencing Ohio State there. So, okay.
Oh, no, I was talking about Ohio State. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
The word "the" being such a, like, pretentious word in...
This is the Arita podcast, so watch yourself. All right, let me bring this back. Though this is pretty delightful. you're technical.
Yes.
Rita, we've got a couple hundred customers. We work with a bunch of agencies.
Yeah.
I'm a history major in MBA. I'm deeply not technical. I ran a brand
Yeah.
for a while. I was not thinking about anything technical with our CRM or our customer. We thought about the journey on the website.
Yeah.
Why walk me through what the benefit of being technical is as you think about building a retention program? Is it that you're smarter choosing tooling? Is it it's less the technical, it's you're more analytical? Like, how do you think about the benefit from that?
Yeah. I think twofold. One, I think the information systems major, I never realized how impactful that was going to be on my career. I think the biggest thing that IS teaches is being that middle ground between the super technical and marketing, essentially. You're trying to bring a technical solution to help marketers and also make sure that they're implementing and using it is sort of the backbone of the IS profession and major. And so I think what comes from that really is not something I realized as I was majoring in it, but it makes you need to be really good at communicating and have those people skills to explain the technical stuff. And so I think that's somewhere where I've really benefited is having that middle ground approach while I am executing most email campaigns on the marketing side, but also build a lot of very technical things. I can then take that to leadership and explain it in a condensed way that they'll understand and not be too technical. So I think that's a big part of it. But I think in how I look at how to talk to customers in a technical way, I think that's where the data is a big piece for me. Like, the more you can get out of the data, like the customers are telling you something. If you send an email and it has a 0.1% click rate, the customers are telling you the content you just sent them, whether it's the product or the design of the email, did not work for them, or you're sending to far too many people. And so it's that concept of the customers are telling you something and the data is how you understand what the customers are telling you.
I, I love that. Let me pull on that thread for a minute. I think
Yeah.
it's like such an interesting takeaway. What is your process? So you send an email and forget the like point one or whatever. It performs less than you expected it to. It performs less than the Wednesday email the week before, which is always a discount. Whatever you
Yeah.
want to think about as like for like. Go more tactical for me. Like what are you inspecting? Like are you kind of like what is your checklist as you're trying to figure this out?
Yeah, I think it can be a little hard to do that on like the micro per campaign for me. I think looking at
If you want to
macro has
abstract
been,
a little bit and
yeah,
like think about it month over month,
yeah,
like however you want to think about it, because like
yeah,
candidly, Zach, the way that you think about this stuff, every time I learn from you, and so the things that sound obvious to you, I want to tease out for the other
yeah,
email marketers or
for
CEOs who are
sure.
listening. So
And I
that's
think one thing that you and I have talked about, you've changed how I think about it. And I love that I think about it this way now. It was a really good point. So, one of the analyses that we did was trying to see if customers were actually buying the product that we were featuring in a given email. And looking at that data set for a full year, about 50% of the purchases were actually what we were featuring in the given email. And so, half of the time, customers are getting our email and buying something, but it's not what we were trying to sell. Let's say we were sending an email about one of these polos and they bought shorts. It tells, for me, it was saying, okay, we need to put more variety of content in this email. When you and I were talking about this, you said, it also tells me that you're hitting customers at the right time. And so I think always being cognizant of all of the things something can tell you and not like locking in on the one thing that you were, because I was very tunnel vision on like, what content decision should this tell me? But it also does tell you timing wise, like we're hitting customers at the right time. We just need to expand. So it's twofold. And so
Zach,
I
let me
think there's a
interrupt.
lot of stuff like that.
Let me interrupt for 1 second on
Yeah.
that, and then we'll keep going.
Yeah.
When we think about it, like hitting somebody up at the right time is it's kind of like when you're driving down a freeway and you see an ad out of home or a TV. It doesn't. I think people look at like I drove this specific action, or like this is the content that's the winner. And the flip side is for a brand that is loved. A lot of times it's like, yeah, they just need to be reminded, oh yeah, I should go check out Cricket. What's new there? I always have a good experience with Cricket. And it's like, it's been long enough, right? And now it's been long enough and you check it out and maybe you don't buy it that time, but it is like more at bats. And so we always think about how do you drive more at bats? And the flip side, of course, is if you over email me, even if I love the brand and I unsubscribe, you lose the right to hit me up at the quote unquote right time. And
Yep.
so the point isn't the content doesn't matter. It's that like people forget about that other half is maybe how we think about this. But I diverge. Keep going though. So like there isn't a silver bullet. So the one is like you're thinking about the content.
Right.
Second one is you're thinking about timing. Where
Yep.
are you inspecting? What else are you thinking about?
Yeah, I think we look at campaign setups. I set up every campaign name very structured because I'm a data nerd. So we have 6 different pieces in our email naming convention so that I can pull them all out. And one of those things is the type of email it is. Is it a launch? Is it a second touch point for a product? Is it a sale? All of these different things. And those emails are all going to behave differently. When you're launching a product, there's more excitement around it. When it's a second touch point, there's inherently less excitement usually. So if someone didn't buy from it the first time, you need to approach that in a different way. And I think that was one of the bigger learnings we saw last year was our launch emails were up year over year. Our second touch points were down year over year. And so from a content perspective, we need to be not sending the same style email for both touch points. If we're trying a second attempt to sell it, we need the content to be different. One of the feature emails we sent last year was kind of a behind the scenes look at one of our photo shoots for one of the product. And that as a second touch point did exponentially better than the other second touch point emails we've sold. And so I didn't really have that insight until I looked back at all of last year. But when you see like, oh, these feature emails like aren't doing quite as well, and then seeing one specific outlier in that, that's a good sign to me of like, oh, we have this answer to this question already a little bit of the content can really matter in the second touch point.
Are you able to like do all this analysis within Klaviyo platform? Do you use other tools for that or other kind of
I
code
have to
analyses you do?
use custom stuff. Part of it is I didn't start using this naming convention until I think 2024 and it's evolved. And so we have a mapping sheet so that I can fix all of the old campaign names to be in this structure. So we can add that data layer into Klaviyo to fix them retroactively. So we use BigQuery and Looker Studio to do all of our analysis. It allows us to add that data layer and sort of fix those things. Or when I have spelled launch, lunch instead, which is many, many times, unfortunately. So we've needed the data layer for that.
Hey man, you're hungry and you're thinking and you're working,
It's
and that's
usually what's happening. Yep.
you're just so you're grinding so hard that
Yep.
like you gotta eat.
Yep.
One more tactical question tied
Yeah.
to this. You mentioned there are 6 different kind of data points that you're.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's not obvious that you think most marketers, even if it's not like every time it's useful, but once in a while, you're so glad that you've included that naming convention?
Typically the campaign type is where we see the most like
Mm.
value from. Then the other one is like, what product are you promoting, which has made it easier to sort of track, okay, is this product hitting the end of its cycle? Like we have some core products that after 3 years, you really lose the punch of that product because your core customers already have a couple colors of that. And so some of that stuff is really good to be able to track like, oh, it's usually 3 year life cycles for our product. It might be 5, but being able to see that in your campaigns is helpful. But it also allows us to look at email and SMS together if we wanted to. Okay, how did this campaign type of this product look across both channels? And so by having the same naming convention for both channels, we separate out email and SMS later, but we can look at just those first 2 things and look, okay, this product launch did really well across both. Even if the email didn't do quite as well,
Mm.
we picked up on the SMS side. And so it's about being able to see that whole picture in a lot of senses.
I love it. One of the things that I think about with Cricket is it's an awesome brand. Like the brand is very clear. You know, I don't know who your quote unquote ICP, like who you guys are targeting, but it's like very clear that you have a distinct voice and is consistent
Yeah.
across all touch points. I'm a customer. The product is good. The packaging is fun. Right.
Yeah.
So like Cricket is not a new company where you're trying to figure it out.
Right.
How does what the brand is influence what you are doing kind of on that like retention side of the house? Where do you have limitations? Where are you able to like kind of push, whether
Yeah.
it's on the creative or like even the segmentation or the volume? Like,
Yeah. I think the brand voice is such a important thing that not every company thinks about. Cricket's the first company I've come into where it was a very established and structured brand voice. The company that I still think does it the best is Liquid Death, and it's not because I've loved them since they came out. You go to their website, every single thing, their sign up unit, all of the reviews or end up being written by customers in that similar brand voice because they've used the same brand voice so consistently. And we see that a little bit on the Cricket side as well. I think we're not quite to that level, but in a lot of ways we're seeing those same things. Reviews are coming in a way that we would write ourselves. And so I think that's been a really impactful thing for us is we're able to add humor and be a little bit more playful because that brand voice is established of that type of talk to our customers. And so it becomes a lot more conversational. We also have a mascot of our own. So because we started as a golf polo brand for a long time, all of our customer service emails and some of our campaign emails have been signed Zach the Cricket Caddy, which is for Zach, our customer service manager, not me. But then he said many times, people will call in and get to him and go, I get emails from you all the time. And so it actually has been a thing for us where the mascot and the human coming together has made our customers feel like they know us. And so I think that's a really unique thing that you're able to build that relationship with a customer on that level because of the brand voice you've established.
When you think about the customer journey and
Yeah.
trying to keep it consistent, are there any constraints that you every once in a while wish you could break outside of on the CRM side or on the retention side?
It's something that there's a delicate nature to it. Like I think when we're sending emails about a new product we're launching and we want to be like, we're pretty direct about it. Like, hey, we know you've bought this similar product and this is why we think you'll like this new one. I think that's a really delicate thing to do. The reason I think it's delicate is because of my algorithm for ads on Instagram. I had my second back surgery at 35 3 months ago now, and they got the initial data point right of I have a bad back, but they were sending me like life alert ads. I'm not a 70-year-old. My back is just, not functioning the way it should be. And so I think that's the really delicate line you have to walk of like, if you know the first part, you have to know how to then market to that data point.
That's very funny. Can we blame you being a mascot? Is that related, or is there any
No,
way we can
I
cut
think
down the Steelers? No? Okay.
being a runner, don't run. It's a horrible decision.
I think we've talked about this. I officially at a point where I swim, and I bought a used Peloton, like
Yeah.
refurbished, for my wife for the holidays. She has not used it once, but I've started using it, and I'm like, I've turned into everything I hate. Maybe I'm slightly ahead of you in age, slightly ahead of you in gray hairs, but I've got strategies for you to avoid. But talk to me about retention marketing and how it's changed over even the last couple of years, or you mentioned that you started in Salesforce, right? So
Yeah.
like you talk about Klaviyo tooling, tech tooling,
Yeah.
AI. Like let's just go down this path. I want to know what you've kind of seen, and then we'll go into what you're excited about coming next.
Yeah. My 5-year anniversary at Cricket is next week. And so that'll also be my 5-year anniversary of working with Klaviyo. I've worked in, I think, 9 different ESPs over 11 or so years.
Whoa, I didn't realize that. Very cool.
Yes. So I've gotten to see most of them on the market. And I think the power of Klaviyo is sort of that IS thing I was talking about earlier. It's connected to everything. Klaviyo and Shopify, those ecosystems, the fact that all of these different brands and tech partners are aligned, like that's such a distinguishing factor for Klaviyo that doesn't exist on a lot of other platforms like in ESPs. So I think that's been such a big thing that sort of changed how I look at retention, but also how I do my job. Like I run our MarTech at Cricket, but and I love doing it. It's something I've always been interested in. But I think because of the Klaviyo and Shopify infrastructure, it's led me down that path. And so I think that's one big piece of it. The other is how we view the effectiveness of email. Open rate used to be like one of the shining lights that you looked at, and now you can't trust it. Apple privacy opens have made email not, or open rates not a reliable statistic, which also means click to open rate is not a reliable statistic. You use click rate now. And so I think just the metrics that we use to judge how our emails are doing. Even just that piece has changed. But I think the other thing that we're learning a lot more and doing a lot more at Cricket is making sure that we're treating retention across all of the different touch points. Like email and SMS were the retention touch points for a long period of time. Like direct mail is a really effective way to do it. Even just changing the on-site experience for returning customers is a big part of it. And so I think for me, like having all of the different touch points really be important to retention is not something that, especially early in my career, like you just had departments for email marketing. It was just email. And I think as I've grown and been in this ecosystem, I'm realizing more and more that retention is not just those two channels.
For direct mail, you guys use Postpilot, correct?
Correct. Yes.
What about like loyalty reviews? Are there any other tools that you would?
So we're using Klaviyo's review platform, and loyalty. We're using me. I built our loyalty program from scratch. Basically, we use Shopify and Klaviyo flows to pass some information back and forth to each other. Launched a new tier to our loyalty program for our most loyal customers. At a certain LTV point, they get access to a special collection that's password protected on our site.
What's the
Um,
password, Zach?
I can't tell you that. You have to
Okay.
spend a certain amount of money. I mean, yeah.
What if we'll take this offline?
Then we could talk.
Dot, dot,
I
dot.
know a certain CFO in my company that might be open to that.
It's very
Um,
happy to sell high
yeah,
margin products.
yes, exactly. But that's been something that we really like. We're testing it at first. We saw so many customers like really liking that exclusivity. I
Cool.
think that's the biggest learning I've had from the loyalty program we've built at Cricket is like when you build a loyal audience, they love the exclusivity, the discounts
Yeah.
they can get during sale periods. They know when sales are coming, points based discounts. I get the gamification of it makes people want to be more involved in that piece of it. But I think the exclusivity is really what customers want. They want to be treated like they're special and unique because they've been so loyal to the brand. And so I think that's been something that we've seen our customers really speak to in those purchases from that collection.
When you're thinking about the customer journey and maybe not the customer journey, like the customer prospect journey,
Yeah.
how much when I sign up for you guys is I'm already supposed to be in the know? And how much is you're kind of walking me into like what the Cricket community is like and the fact that, oh, by the way, there might be some secrets and it's a pretty chill brand. And like, how do you think about that balance of your longtime fans versus a net new person and even for a normal campaign?
Yeah. I'm going to get to the welcome series in a
Sure.
second, but I think the quiz that we launched last year is a better example of this. So we launched a quiz with Digio last year for finding the right polo for you. Last year, we ended up having 9 different fabrications of polos in 2 different versions, essentially pocket and no pocket. For me, who's in the product library every day, I know that the player shirt is the one with a pocket and the range polo is the one without a pocket. Most customers would have no idea of that. And so we built this quiz to ask, where are you going to be wearing this? And so we know, okay, if someone's a golfer, they're going to want the more performance fabrics. And so we've tried to simplify that entry point for newer customers for the product level while selling the brand in a lot of cases. I think early on, like that mix of selling product and brand is really important because you don't know which is going to catch the person. Like I think for us, a lot of the time we're catching people in our paid ads with the brand. It's the brand voice. It's how we capture our product. Like I think a lot of times we're capturing with the brand. And so we have to sell the product when it gets to the site because there's those intricacies to it. And other times in the welcome series, we're doing both. We're also explaining the 19th hole mentality, which is a big thing in the Cricket branding of we are built for golfers in the spring. These polos are for golfers, but not the scratch golfers. It's more for the guys that are out with their friends and want to go to the 19th hole, which is usually the bar at the end of the 18 you've just played. So I think selling that mentality of like, we're not too serious of
Yeah.
golfers where golf is the fun activity we're doing with friends. I think selling that identity is a big part of it too.
You and I haven't actually talked about the performance side because something you just kind of talked about is like, look, when we're bringing somebody in, they're getting that fun experience. They're thinking 19th hole, right? It's not like we're like
Yeah.
serious golf brand over here. And now, oh, by the way,
Yes.
right? It's funky. The reality is
Yeah.
like you guys really have a tight brand story. I'm curious for you in your role, how involved are you in the performance side? And I'll preface by saying my experience, which
Yeah.
has been just fascinating, we can go into
Yeah.
that in a couple minutes if useful, is it is almost like two sides and neither of the twain shall meet. And it is like, hey, we have our performance team and they have their performance budget and let's go make money this way. And then we have the
Yeah.
retention team that's like picking up the scraps from performance. And it's just like, cool. If you guys spend more, I have a fresher list. If you spend less, I have to like go squeeze more juice out of my existing list.
Yeah.
How involved are you? And what do you think the like right blend is for
Yeah.
kind of creating that end to end customer experience?
I was just explaining this yesterday, sometime in the last week or so. I almost think of it, at least in the way we do it at Cricket, is a Venn diagram that almost looks like Mickey Mouse ears to an extent of like have performance, you have retention, and then the bigger circle that overlaps both is creative. And so our creative team is a lot of them are building for both. And so I think that really helps with making sure we have a cohesive message back and forth. But I'm on our performance marketing calls twice a week with the agency that runs our performance marketing. I'm not implementing most of it, but to me at least, I need to know what's going on there so I can better understand how to target those customers once they're in my hands, because that's the handoff really. Is performance is bringing customers in, and then it's my job to get them to buy things and get them to have a good experience. And so I think it's really important to understand it from a retention side, but I'm not the one ins and outs for the retention campaigns within Meta. I'm helping with the audience and making sure that the Klaviyo list gets to Meta so we can properly target and things like that. But from an actual execution perspective, like I don't need to be involved in that, but
Mm.
understanding it helps me do my job better.
It's interesting. So I just want to tease out a couple of things and ask a
Yeah.
follow up. So the first is like you are at the very least aware of what is happening, which means spend is
Yeah.
going up, spend is going down, new channels are happening. Here's what the creative is. If people come in, this is the experience that they're having, which
Yeah.
again, I think is candidly very rare. And I don't know why it's rare because it makes so much sense if you want to create a like end to end delightful customer
Yeah.
experience. The other one is maybe we can double click a little bit on the Klaviyo to Meta side of things. So the
Yeah.
retargeting, like, is there anything, and not looking for state secrets, but any tips you have for people who are thinking about, oh yeah, we've got an engaged audience and maybe we bifurcate our customers versus our prospects and our somebody clicked on the site. Like how do you think about kind of helping inform the ad side on the retention side for the retargeting piece?
Yeah, twofold. One, I worked at a global marketing agency for a few years doing just analytics and dashboard building. One of the analyses we did was for a large apparel brand looking at churn during BFCM. Basically, what we learned looking at a bunch of different ways was if you bought during BFCM and then keep getting emails, you're going to unsubscribe. And so what I've taken that any sale we run, if you buy during the sale, you don't need to keep getting sale campaign emails. You did the thing we wanted you. Stop sending that person the rest of the sale. And so we've now implemented that into our paid ads. If you've bought in the last 10 days, you don't need to be getting ads from us. And so I think that's one thing that we've helped pushed into the performance side of like, we know this customer activity. We don't want to lose them on the retention side by hitting them on too many touch points anywhere. And so let's make sure that's unified across all the touch points. The other, I'll jump into a reader real quick because we're working on this now. But one of the big things that we're learning in using Arita is the lower engagement audiences. Sending to them more is not going to make them engage more in email. It's they may be a customer who has bought from us multiple times, but at the point that they've reached those lower engagement groupings, email is not the channel for them. And hitting them on other channels becomes more important. So whether that's direct mail or Meta, pushing those audience to be like, we should be targeting these people here becomes more important. So I think that's one of the bigger learnings we're taking into 2025 is like, or 2026, whatever year it is being able to target those less engaged people. Pounding them with email is not the right solution. It's still important to hit them, but just different avenues and touch points.
I think one of the things that was very hard for us for the first year of the business was helping people understand. This is, by the way, with all of our agency partners in Klaviyo, and we're a preferred partner now, and like we can do better, but like we have at least trust in the market that like if we say something is working
Yeah.
mathematically, it will work. Like that is the only thing we're good at. But is actually helping somebody understand that Zach might be a VIP customer, but email is not the right channel for him. And actually, by sending the email, you might be annoying him. Or in 6 months, when he does add to cart, but he's already unsubscribed, he can't get your flow. Like he literally can't. And I think it is. And again, when I was running my own brand, I sent every email to every person. And I like to joke that like I wrote some awesome content and you should see it. And you should be so lucky to see our great content. Look at our product and you subscribe so you want to see it. And the reality was like I was just annoying people, right? Like let them tell you when they're listening. I find it interesting that you were using the less engaged people and you're experimenting down other channels. I love it. How is that performing so far? I know it's still early, but like what are some of the takeaways you've gotten?
We got to that point yesterday, so it hasn't been implemented yet. We're getting there.
So did we win? This is great.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'll say where the win was genuinely. We had a call with your team yesterday that was supposed to be 45 minutes. It went an hour and a half. And
Is this why
I
DD was so cranky?
he wasn't on the call,
Okay,
actually.
great.
But it was a lot of that. It wasn't like trying to pick apart what the arena numbers said. It was more that next level of what do we do with this information? And I think that's such an important thing to get to, of like not arguing about the numbers, but actually like making the actionable steps after, of like, okay, what do we do with this? And I think seeing that email is not the right channel for these people was such a big thing to get. That's how I viewed it, but it's because I'm in it every day and having my higher ups think something similar. Like, I think that is so powerful to have that lens of looking at data, of not trying to pick it apart, but seeing it and be like, okay, now how do I action off of that?
Do you have any tips for folks who are CRM managers early in their career, whatever it is, but like
Yeah,
who the CMO is like, hey, we need email to do better, text to do better, send more, or the CFO or the CEO? Like, how do
yeah,
you translate what you know intuitively and actually like go communicate that to other people who like just aren't living in email and they're like, hey,
right,
numbers going down year over year, but they're missing the fact that like if they take one strategy, it'll start going down much worse.
yeah.
Like, how do you kind of navigate those discussions?
A kindergarten report card on this one. Because I think it's important, and it's not something I realized until far later after I got this information in my head. But my first professional job review was at Dick's Sporting Goods. And the first thing on there, I don't remember the exact wording, but the way I heard it was plays well with others, which was, again, my kindergarten report card. And I thought it was a really lazy thing to put in a professional review. But in retrospect, like, that is the highest compliment someone can give you in this industry. I think the ability to have conversations across teams and build rapport and be able to make actionable change because you have those relationships, whether it's internally or externally, like that's such a valuable thing. And I think in the email world, being able to communicate what you're finding, that plays into that part of it. And so when I was at Dick's, most people aren't even going to, there was a text version of emails that you could send for like people with Blackberries, which also don't exist anymore. So I'm dating myself a little bit there, but we were building text versions for 10 people, let's say, that match the creative versions. And at the end of the day, like the amount of time that was taking was not worth the effort. And I didn't know how to prove that out. And so without telling anyone, I put an extra UTM term on all of the text versions to show that it was the text version, because there was no way within the ESP to mark that. So I put a UTM to track how many people were actually clicking and purchasing. After a month, we had one purchase from those text versions. That's across millions of people. And I brought that to management. I'm like, look, like we're spending, I don't know, 15 minutes more than that per email to build these, and we're not getting orders. We should be spending our time in other places. And so I think some of it is coming to those meetings with data of like, not just this is what I think, but this is what the numbers show. And so I think that's a big step. And sometimes you can do it in those ways without anyone knowing you're running a test. If you just add a UTM on there, or recently I was doing a test looking at ARIA audiences versus our like pre-built audiences, and like how many of them were actually where the overlap was and wasn't. And so I just built the audiences and ran them and then looked at the numbers after to see what they say. And then I can take it to leadership. So I think having the numbers helps those conversations more, because then it's not, this is what I think, it's, this is what the numbers show.
I like it. And also, I mean, ties back to your background, information systems and everything. So, um,
Yeah.
all right. I wanna turn a little bit for our last 10 or 15 minutes and talk about kind of what's coming, right? So shopping behavior is changing. There's probably going to be new channels popping up. What are you excited about? What are you not sure about? Like what are take this wherever you want, but I'm curious, like if you're projecting 2026, you're like, hey, we're gonna hit some number. You're probably also thinking about their different tools or oh man, email might perform worse because Gmail summaries are doing something. Like where is your head at as a
Yeah.
email
Gmail
marketer?
summaries scare me. I think unless you have live text on your emails, they're going to be summarizing incorrectly in a lot of cases I've seen. So I
What do you
think that
mean
is
live
something to
text?
think. Yeah. So in emails, so for instance, for Cricket, we currently don't have live text. Our copy in our emails is an image. The
Uh,
same way
I follow.
it's text on top, but you can make a content block from Klaviyo that's text, and that Gmail can read 100% versus it's trying to summarize an image. So that is something that we're weighing, but I hate that we have to, because I think our designers can design fonts that match the style. Like when we have a Western style shirt, he can design a Western style font that may not be a Google font. So I think that's a tough thing to sort of balance, but it's something I'm thinking about. I think in terms of like other channels and ways to hit people, I think RCS is going to be huge. Our SMS channel is growing more than email. It's still not at the level of email, but it's been growing at a higher level year over year. And so I think the thing that RCS can bring is more rich content to SMS. We could send a GIF, and that was really the most we could send with an SMS message. But now we can send multiple cards that show, let's say we're launching this poll and it comes in 3 colors. Instead of a GIF that shows that, we could show the GIF and then 3 more cards after that, which with each color, so people can jump directly to the site for that color instead of taking them to a collection page. And so I think that ability to actually put more into SMS, and more people are shopping on their phones anyway. So the ability to sort of scroll through an SMS with RCS, I think is going to be really big. The other thing with AI that is going to be more and more complicated, at least from us on our end, is on-site AI. We've talked to a couple of different people about on-site AI agents, and one of the things that I found really cool in one of the companies we talked to is they can do comparisons of products. Hey, these are 2 products. Can you compare the differences between the two? And it's almost impossible for us to put all of the comparisons of all the fabrications we have in there, but AI can be like, oh, this is more cotton, this is more performance. We know from being AI and the internet what the differences between these 2 fabrics are.
Mm.
And it can tell you because of its knowledge of the fabric. And we don't have to build pages and pages of comparisons. And so some of that I think can be really helpful for selling of AI has more context and more people are using AI to ask these questions. And it also can save our customer service team some time instead of them being asked that question.
When
They
you
can
think about
handle sort of bigger moments.
that customer experience, this is not a like pure retention thing. This is also the site experience. Like there's so much involvement
Yeah.
here. How do you guys navigate this as a business? Again, not looking for state secrets, but is it
Yeah.
like, hey, look, we need to change so many things and this is where every piece is, or like, in order to train the AI on like the true differences, you actually do want to lay out all the specs and put it somewhere on your
Yeah.
site. How are you guys building Cricket for kind of the next phase?
Yeah. I will credit the team at Loop for me thinking this way. But I had a conversation with Loop last year about how I view returns and exchanges in the prism of retention. And it sort of changed how I look at things, having
Yeah.
to actually like think about it. It was always part of my job, but having to actually think about it with that terminology has really shifted how I do. I think that customer service and retention are in a lot of ways doing the same thing. Customer service and customer experience teams are looking at customer problems on a micro level. Retention teams are looking at customer problems on a macro level. The end goal for both is to make the customer experience as seamless as possible. It's just one to one versus one to many. And so I meet with my customer service team once a month. We have a Slack channel for immediate action things, but once a month bigger things that they're noticing, and I can usually address them in that way. And so to look at this site as owned by both of those two different departments, it ends up giving the overall customer experience, makes it better, and it makes it smoother on the retention side, because if the customer experience is better, they're probably going to buy more.
I love the macro versus micro perspective. I mean, it makes sense. I just hadn't thought about it in that framing. I
I
will,
hadn't either, but I was already like doing a lot of that stuff, but I
yeah.
hadn't actually put it in like that view.
I mean, the best companies are going to be the ones that create a delightful customer experience time and time
Yep.
again. And then if you think about how CAC is getting more expensive, it's like, how do you keep people around for longer? How do you get them to
Yeah.
tell their friends that they love the product? Like anybody
Yeah.
who's not thinking that way, I don't really want to talk to as a business person, but like that is obviously at the core of it.
But I think in so many companies, customer service and marketing don't communicate. And
Hmm.
real example, there's a supplement brand I use. Their supplements come in 20-day supplies, but their subscriptions are 30-day supplies. Right. Bad customer experience. I reach out to their customer service team, say like, how do I like get this on the same? And they're like, oh yeah, we know that's a problem. We can fix it on the back end. To me, that means they're not talking to marketing, or marketing isn't talking to them, because they know it's an issue. They know how to solve it. It needs to be solved on the front end. And so I have the solution they've come up with, but their site still remains to this day not functioning in the way you would expect it to. And so I think from that conversation, I've sort of realized it more, but you see that like that is such an important conversation to be having between those two teams.
I want to extend that and go back to what you mentioned about Loop, by the way,
Yeah.
right? Because, I had the privilege of working there for a while. It was
Yeah.
awesome. The thing that I think most people miss is just how important returns are to your retention and to your
Yeah.
LTV. And the like framing I always give is if you can have like a higher, hold all things being equal, if you can have a higher exchange rate, you now can grow faster, right? It's like you should be thinking about your conversion rate. You shouldn't be thinking about your conversion rate minus returns. You should think about conversion rate minus returns plus exchanges. And that's actually how you're doing as a business. And if you can self fund. And I do not understand why that is not like part of how people talk about everything. And again, it goes like the viability of a business, right? Or the profitability. It goes into the CFO is seeing this, but are the different functions talking? So I do deeply appreciate that you're thinking kind of like really and truly end to end. And it all still, once again, comes back to that customer experience to drive retention.
Yeah, and I think to your point, like, I think part of the reason most people aren't thinking about it is, I mean, for me, I've been a one-person retention team at Cricket. I think a lot of retention teams are very small, and so much time is spent just like doing the most essential things that you don't have time to step back and take the larger view. And so I think that's a big part of it. I think retention teams, for the most part, are not big enough. They're leaned upon a lot. It's a not expensive channel for email and SMS. It's nimble. You can send an email out in an hour if you needed to build creative minds to do it. It's a very nimble channel. So I think all of those factors play in, but it doesn't allow for a lot of broader thinking within those teams, just because you're so tunnel visioned of, I just have to get these things done.
I do want to talk about the team of one aspect with one more
Yeah.
maybe like tactical question or advice
Yeah.
oriented question before we wrap. You've been in this ecosystem for a while. You know a lot of agencies, you know a lot of different brands. You obviously share notes. When should a brand be trying to do everything themselves, and when should they be leveraging a retention agency? Like, how do you think about that kind of choice?
Yeah. I don't know that timing, it's a choice, I think, in a lot of ways. So, for instance, for us at Cricket, I was sort of talking about that Venn diagram. We use an agency for our paid ads. Really, it's two people there. We have 6 creative people internally. And then you have me and one other person. I'm really focused on retention. She's really focused on the site. And so, in a lot of aspects of that, you really have two econ and retention, two performance, with the overlap being creative. And so that's one way to build it, where you're building creative as the main function of marketing at Cricket. And I'm super proud of our creative team. They churn out incredible content. They're all incredibly talented. I tell them as often as I can that, because they truly are. Our emails visually look really, really good. And so that's one way to build out a team. You can also go to an agency that's building the creative and have someone internally that's doing the technical stuff. Like, I think it really depends on how you want to build your marketing department, where either it can be mostly creative, mostly executional, or some hybrid, and that sort of shapes how you use agencies or in-house. But it really comes down to how you view your department.
Mm, thank you. All right, man, we're going to wrap up. My last questions for you, and you may have already covered enough, so you can also refuse to answer. But is there any other piece of advice or takeaway you'd want to share with kind of think about like retention marketers, or anything that you've said that you think is like actually worth double clicking on because it's just that important?
Yeah, I would say the two things. One is that plays well with others. Like build community, whether it's internally or externally. Like at Dix, which is a massive company, there were 6 different departments that went into building an email. I was in my early 20s and on the process improvement team for marketing because I had those relationships to make the process of building an email quicker and easier for everyone. And so opportunities will open up if you make those relationships and are able to have those relationships. So I think that's such a big thing. And the other thing, I'm very biased in this, but I think that at its core, what Klaviyo has done to sort of change how we think of email marketing is a good thing. They have set the first CRM for B2C. Like at its core, email marketing is database marketing, and data is at the foundation of that. And so when you're able to use data in effective ways and understand the data that's coming back to you in effective ways, you can be exponentially better at your job by just understanding what the data is telling you. And so I think that's such a big piece of it. And I think Klaviyo rebranding to that CRM for B2C, like I think that helps speak to that a lot more of an ESP actually realizing like data is our foundation.
I love it. Thank you. All right. Last question. Where can folks
Yeah.
find you? Tell me about Cricket Charts. Yeah. What's your call to action?
Yeah. I guess we'll talk cricket for a little. I talked about this a little earlier, but the golf polos that were built were our founders who are two childhood friends really wanting to bring back that 70s style golf polo, but with updated features. So you can't see, but this is a 4-button placket, which is a very 70s style look. You saw a lot of sports coaches wearing this style, Bobby Knight, John Madden. If you look back at a lot of the old photos, you'll see this style polo. One of the updated features you can't see, you can
I love the
color
color
stays.
stays.
Yeah.
I love them.
Every single shirt that we sell, not just polos that has a collar, has color stays built in. And so your color will always stay crisp. I think it is such a distinguishing thing about our brand is that whether whatever the product is, like it really looks like you put intention into putting whatever you put on. And so I love that piece of it. And I think the other thing that the Cricket really brings is it's to be shared. It's a shared experience thing. And so whether it's we have like group orders, you can get a bunch of Cricket shirts with your logo or for a bachelor party or whatever. Like we really are selling that shared group experience. And so hopefully you're wearing cricket, but just go spend time with your friends. It's in your family. Like it is such a unique and great thing. I was back home for 2 months recovering from back surgery. And I got to see a lot of my friends in Pittsburgh that I'm halfway across the country from. And like that community, like really hold on to that.
That's cool. Zach, thank you. This was really fun. I got a bunch of notes. I, of course, have 50 follow-up questions that I will selfishly ask you one-on-one, but this was really lovely. Thanks for making the
Yeah.
time. Hi, I'm Aaron Schwartz, co-founder and co-CEO of Rita.ai. We build AI customer segmentation for some of Klaviyo's biggest brands like Oriana, Spanx, Caraway, Third Love, True Classic, Rem Beauty, and on and on. Brands come to us to help find untapped revenue, improve their click rate, drive away mean bots, and a bunch more. You can learn more or get a free customer engagement audit at Arita.ai.